Hey, YTPC, Doug Michigan E-Piper. And been a while since I've done an old ways video, and I thought, you know what, why not do another one of those? I've had several ideas I wanted to do for them, but now with the house things starting to slow down the house a little bit. We got a lot to do still, but not like 24/7 now. So, but today we're going to be talking about pocket watches. So most of this is going to happen down on the table, guys, just because there's a lot of close-ups that I want to get in the explanation of pocket watches. Now, keep in mind, this is an introductory video. This is not I know everything about pocket watches, and I'm going to, spend an hour talking about all the deets, because I don't. I will tell you, my grandfather is near and dear to my heart, because my grandfather used to have a clock shop, and he had several watches of his own, and just kind of gained a love of that over my life. So we're going to go down to the table. As far as housekeeping goes, yes, I'm in my new pipe smoking room. However, one thing I did find out, if you're thinking about putting a pipe smoking room, is yes, the air purifiers work. However, it doesn't take care of it as you're smoking. In other words, I was chooching on my pipe, and what I realized was the smoke was going up, and it was going around the room and saturating the room, and then eventually making its way back to the filter to get filtered out. In the meantime, I'm breathing all this, and just didn't sit well with me. So I'm going to have to punch a vent through. It shouldn't be too big of a deal, but until I do that, there's no more smoking in the basement. But I do, while I'm down here, and I've done this before we moved, is I may just grab a pipe, put it in my mouth. I still get some flavor off of it. You know what I'm talking about. Obviously nothing like smoking, but still have that feel. And I do have my Dr. Grabo. I can't remember which model this is, but it's the vintage Dr. Grabo, not one of the newer ones. It may be a Duke, I'm not sure, but really like this pipe. So we're going to go down to the table, and we'll go a little deeper into pocket watches. So stand by. All right, guys, I'm going to try to do this. I'm kind of straddling the camera here, so this will be interesting. But pocket watches come in different sizes, some different shapes, not too many different. This is a pocket watch that was given to me by my grandfather and my dad for Christmas one year. It's an Illinois pocket watch. Most pocket watches have what we call a stem up here. They have different ways that you can wind them, that you can set them. This is a stem set pocket watch, so I just pulled the stem out, and you turn, oops, thought I did. There we go. You can see I can turn that whichever way I want to go until I get it where I want it, and you just push that stem back in. It winds by just turning it up here, and then the difference is in this one, which is my wife's family's pocket watch, is actually a lever set pocket watch. So there's a little lever right here that pulls out, so you can see it there, and you push that back in, but you pull that out to set it. Once you get it set, you push that little lever back in, and then you can wind that one. The part in the center is called the movement. This is the face of the dial, and then the clear part is called the crystal. The movement actually is in the back, which is the part I'll show you here in a minute. There are different styles. So this style here is called a hunter style because it's got this cover that snaps into place. This is called an open face pocket watch, for obvious reasons, open face. What I like about the open face is, now on this one, this is a pocket watch fob, and I'll talk about those in a bit. But the open face usually has a fob on. I just put it on this one because this one is a bigger. I can't remember the name of this, but the ring that goes around here, it goes through there better than it does on the open face. And since really, I guess we can talk about fobs right now. The fob is what hangs out of your pocket. So if you figure the pocket watch sits like this in your pocket, so my hand would be the pocket. The fob sits on the outside of the pocket, so that, when you're walking around, this is hanging out for people to see. And honestly, there's guys that collect just these. This one I really like. This is, I got this at an auction, and this is from the 1923 Firemen's Convention in Northampton, Pennsylvania. So that's my one and only fob I have left. But they have new fobs, they have antique fobs, but that's what a fob does. So the fob just hangs out of the pocket, so it's easier to grab. And I will tell you that when you have an open face pocket watch, to pull it out and have that fob hanging, there's just something about the feel, just like pipes. something about the feel that you pull it out, look at it, and then pop it back into your pocket. The drawback to the fob is it doesn't anchor it to you. So if you get going crazy or whatever, you're going to end up having it fall out of your pocket, and the fob's not going to save you. This is another Hunter case here, but this is actually a different type of movement we'll talk about in a minute. But one of the things I want to talk to you about, instead of having a fob, is you can have a chain. A lot of times the chain will be hooked to a knife like this. That knife can be in a vest pocket, or you can just take that knife off, maybe, and then that chain could be attached to the loop or a button on your vest. One of the other chains, I'll slide this aside real quick. This is really awkward trying to go around the camera like this, just so you know. One of the other chains I've used this for, I have actually a Halloween costume I used for the haunted house when we're doing that. But this is a double chain. So basically this little piece here that you see, this goes in through the loop on your vest, or the buttonhole, I should say, on your vest. This hangs down like a pocket watch fob, okay? And then you have two more chains, and one can hold the watch and the other one can hold the knife. So you'd have one chain that went to each pocket in your vest, and then this would hang down the center of your vest with that fob hanging off. So those are the kind of fancier ones. Obviously they make just ones that are not so fancy. This is just a, sorry, I bumped the camera there. This is just a regular chain that you get, and this has got like a little slide that slides down over to or slides through the loop of your buttonhole, or actually can slide anywhere on a belt, however you want to put it. If you're wearing jeans and you want to put the pocket watch in your jeans, that can go down over your belt, over your pants. And the other side obviously has a clip to go onto the watch. So just a couple of different ways that the watches can go on. And I just talked about the open face. Now let's talk about the movement a little bit. On this one here, now we'll do the easy one first. This was a graduation gift, Colibri watch. And if you look at the bottom down in here, if you can read that, it says quartz. Quartz movements are battery movements. Okay, those are not the mechanical old style pocket watches. So almost all the pocket watches made nowadays are quartz movements that take a battery. The older ones, this one, I want to say this one was made in 1910. If you flip it over, I probably should have done this before. I believe this is a screw off back. There's a couple different types of backs. This one screws off. Some of them open like a Hunter case. So we'll open that up. There's a nice little inscription there that was put on from Christmas of '03. But this is the movement. Now the thing about the movement is that the movements come in different qualities. Okay, so I don't really actually. Let me grab this real quick to point with. So the quality of the movement depends on how many jewels it has. This is a 17 jewel pocket watch, and what that means is you have these jewels, literal jewels, and you can kind of see these little round things down in here that the different stems for the different gears set in, and those jewels help it basically not lubricate it, but make it an more even turning. They start off about 7 jewels, and they go all the way up to 24 jewels or more. 7 jewels are very common, 7 jewel pocket watch movements, and they just help out with the smoothness of the watch, helps keep time better. I'm not gonna get into the ins and outs of what all these little gears and everything are. One, because I don't even remember anymore, but two, is just unless you really like pocket watches, you're gonna be bored to death. But this is the movement. I used to have a pocket watch that had a crystal on the back as well, and that was for a dealer. And they would go around, so when they used to sell pocket watches, they would go around with all these dealer cases that had, and you could look at the different movements through the crystal. And so you say, no, I want that movement or that movement, and you don't have to keep it out where it could get dirty, dusty, oily, whatever. Because if you notice, I'm not touching that movement because it gets the oil from your fingers gets in there and corrodes it pretty quickly. But yeah, so the dealers would come around with those crystals that were on the back of the cases, so they could show on the movements. This is a 17 jewel, this is a 21 jewel, this is a 7 jewel, or whatever. The 7 jewel is kind of the working man's jewel, the kind of Dr. Grabo of the pocket watches. Man, they sold a lot of them. A lot of them were made in Elgin, Illinois. That was one of the more common ones. Most of them got sold, most of the equipment to make them got sold to Russia. And I believe they're still making them. Molina had it. It was a watch brand by the name of Molina. Had a lot of their stuff, but I don't know if they're still making those yet or not. I know they're still selling them on eBay. Yeah, so that's the movement. So you've got the movement, the crystals on the outside, the case. Cases come in gold, gold-plated, silver, you name it, nickel. It's pretty much anything you want. But that's pretty much it on the pocket as far as a snapshot of the pocket watches. Guys, I will say that they're like pipes. You get one, then you want another one, and this one's different, or that one belonged to this person, or whatever. But they're very cool to deal with. I will say, on a side note, that the railroad back in the day was the, I don't know, creme de la, or whatever you say. That was, if you had a railroad watch, you had one of the best watches out there, because the railroads all had to go off of time. They didn't have the internet and digital phones and everything else that could keep time for them. They would leave one spot. They'd have to be able to make sure that time was kept for days, if not longer. Usually about a week before they have to recalibrate. And so railroad watches were the creme de la creme. That's what I was trying to say. As far as making sure that time was kept good by these pieces. And these pieces are masterpieces, guys. Just incredible. I didn't do any justice to the movement as far as letting you guys look deep into it. If you ever get a chance, it's just it's very cool. So that's what I got. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, the cold click and like and stuff like that, and subscribe. But I hope everybody's doing well, guys. Until next time, you take care.